man who has actually endured an extremely delayed flight from Milan to Birmingham yesterday, but finally made it in time to get a late meal last night. And well, what can you say about a man who's won 15 World Championships and 122 Grand Prix? Except to welcome him here on the stage, please. Will you give a big hand for Mr. Giacomo Agostini, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you. If you'd like to take a seat round there, young man, with a microphone, we have a seat for you whether you need it or not. Listen, you really, where would you start with this man? But I'd like to just touch on his origins in a way, because something that I know precious little about. But he was actually born and initially brought up in a place that's one of the prettiest villages in Italy. It's right on the edge of a lake in northern Italy, called Lavera, I think you pronounce it. Lavera. And it's constantly, you know, I mean, we have a Britain in bloom. It constantly features in Italy's equivalent of that. It's a very pretty place on the edge of what Giacomo calls a small lake. Not by our standards here in the UK. It's 16 miles long and 800 feet deep, this lake. And this village is perched on the end of it. I believe your father was a local councillor in that village. Do you still have a place there? Do you still live there?
Yeah, but the road around the lake I use for training. But it's very, very dangerous because on the one side I have the rocks and the other side I have the lake.
Yes.
So if I crash on one side, it's very bad. If I crash the other side, it's the same. It's very, very bad. But you know, when you are younger, you don't think about the risk you have.
Well, there was no motorcycling in your family. You weren't born into a motorcycling family. So how did this arise that you?
No, because when I start to race, I need permission from my family, and at 18 years old. At 21 is okay. I cannot need any permission, but 18, and my father don't want to sign because he said no, it's too dangerous, and I don't want you to race with the motorbike. So one day we go to our friend, the friend of my father is a lawyer, and he convinced my father to sign. Right. But in the end we understand why, because he thinks I want to race with the cycle and not motorcycle. Okay. So he signed after I start.
In the meantime, we'll be entertained by the Andover Norton here, and Carl Smith here is going to tell us a bit about this bike. And these bikes became quite iconic, or they are iconic, and a lot of us remember seeing them on the tracks, and it's going to be good to hear it fired up. So Carl, can you tell us about your Norton and all about it?
Yeah, so this is a pre-production bike, so frame number 1, so it predates the Hislop bikes and the Nation bikes. It was built for our owner of Andover Norton, Joe Seifert, as part of a deal with Norton Motors Limited and Norton Motors Deutschland, with a guy called Philip LaRue, who was in charge of Norton at the time. And it went over to Germany and raced in the Battle of the Twins over there. And then Joe bought the prototype P56 bike, because that's a P55, and that's got the P56 forks on it. It's currently in short track configuration. We've got 2 other swing arms come with it, so medium track and then a Manx swing arm, which makes it slightly longer wheelbase. But she's 120 kilos in weight, about 180 brake horsepower, no engine brake, so if you go into a corner at 100 mile an hour and think your brake your engine's going to slow you down, you're in the grass. Yeah, I mean, it's a very quick bike. It hasn't been ridden in anger for a very long time. We spent the last couple of weeks getting it ready for today, rebuilding it, checking the compression on the rotors, because it's a Wanko engine. It needs a bit of love and care. It's not something you can just run up. But yeah, very rare bike. We'll try and get it spit in flames today. I'm not sure it will. We won't think we get it hot enough. But she will spit 5-foot flames out the back.
So that's something we all remember from those bikes. It must be quite something to ride. And Steve Hislop certainly made them go.
He did, yeah. I mean, Northwest 200 in its day, and I mean, this particular bike, I think, won 3 German championships in the hands of a not so talented rider. So, if you put it in the hands of the, Hislops and these types, it's a killer. And it's a 588cc rotary, but Norton found a way to make it a 1200 by getting it to fire every 120 degrees, and the Jap boys in the day didn't like that. So that's why the bike then, and Norton ran out of money, as they always do. Yeah. So yeah.
And is that the only one of that model?
That's the only one of the pre-production bikes. There are bikes in the National Motorbike Museum. You can see there the Hislop and the Nation bikes, and there's some other privateer bikes that are there, but they're all production bikes. So this was pre-production. So this was used as a test bed for the bikes that then went and raced in the UK. But yeah, like I said, it was only raced for about 5 years and then sat as a museum piece, unfortunately.
Yeah, and obviously it's a valuable piece of motorcycling history and financially valuable.
Yeah, it's difficult to put a number on it. It's whoever wants to pay kind of value. I mean, the owner, Joe Seifert, does want to sell it because he doesn't want it to sit as a museum piece. He wants someone to ride it, and no one in our team is talented enough to ride it. We are all frightened of it, to be honest with you. So yeah, it is up for sale. Numbers talk, but yeah, I don't want him to sell it because
you're going to miss it, aren't you? Yeah. And tell me something. The engine parts, if it goes racing again and anything breaks, what happens then?
We've started making more parts for these bikes, and Norton the rotary. There's a couple of models out there. There's the Commander. There's the Classic, and there's the old Interpol, which were the service police bikes, and so we carry a lot of stock for parts. We're now going to start redoing the parts for the bikes because there's a lot of owners saying, I can't ride my bike in case it goes wrong. And Andover Norton's philosophy is let's get parts on shelves so people can ride bikes.
And are you able in-house at Andover Norton to make the stuff?
Yeah, we can make all the parts for these. We can also service them and repair them now, as we have a workshop we've just opened this year. So if anyone's got a bike, or especially a rotary there, they want us to look at, we can now look at that for them, service it, repair it. There's things called mollying you have to do and all those kind of things, and we can do all that in-house now. So
excellent. Now, would I be right in thinking this bike could be noisy?
It can be very noisy, yeah. That's why you saw me putting some earplugs in. It's two-strokey is the way to describe it. But yeah, it can be very noisy. If it hits a certain resonance, it will make your ears.
Do we want to hear it, folks? What do you think? Let's hear. Yeah, let's hear this unique Norton. Thank you, Carol. That's brilliant.
Wow.
Thank you, Carl. That's a phenomenal sound. What do you think of that, Ago? What's your thoughts on the sound?
Nice music, eh?
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic, thank you, Aldo. That's tremendous.